Get decked.
So we're moving on to Kevin's next question, and this is kind of funny because you'll see why in a second. He asked, when you build your deck, what style or win condition do you consider, and how do you make sure that condition is secured in the cards you choose? Well, this is really straightforward. However, I'm going to explain I'm a bad one to ask because
he shoots himself out of one of the win conditions right at the bat.
Yeah, I did that for the longest time. Not even kidding. You see, Leaping Kick is awesome. It says, search deck 2 Dragon Balls, banish them. If you do, advance a level, and it's physical attack. Awesome. You can shoot up a level. That means I shot myself in the foot. I can no longer win by Namekian's one of the strongest win conditions, which is NPPV.
At that point, too, though, you gotta realize what your personality is. Goku can MP out, but, odds are you're gonna be playing Kaioken's. And that gets rid of it. If you're playing Slug, you're automatically out of the NPVP because that's on his level 4. You can't win by angering out.
So what we're getting at here is you ask us, when you're building a deck style in a win condition, what do you do to ensure your condition is secure? I'll give you a very basic one. When you're playing, Namekian Knowledge used to give you quite the buffer when it came to your Dragon Balls being in play. The Mastery said if you had one Dragon Ball in play, only one, more than that, this protection no longer applies. Should you have only one, your opponent cannot capture them from critical damage.
Which means they can't win by Dragon Balling out.
Right, because you'll always hold one last one.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, what does that mean?
They can't capture it by critical card effects. They can always capture it by other card effects.
If something just says capture, it's not a critical damage effect or critical damage. Well, what we're getting at here is, if you know that about your deck, you could sort of plan around that. But as time has gone on, I think that effect was not stifling the game, but I could tell it wasn't the fairest thing they've ever made. The newer Masteries no longer offer any special protection for Dragon Balls. None. It means that all of your Dragon Balls are continuously out there for it to be stolen.
To balance it out, there's now a lot more cards that are just like, oh yeah, capture this, capture that, right. Or, hey, I'm Slug, I'm playing, or, I always do Slug because Slug is the one that I played, and you have to win basically by Dragon Balls because you're not gonna kill them by attacking them, not at least in the old way. Now you probably could, you could stand a chance, but it was like you played the blocks that were just like, hey, I play this physical block, you can't touch my balls this turn. Hey, I just rejuvenated this card from my discard. You can't touch my balls this combat. Exactly. Oh, hey, I just use this card for endurance. You can't touch my balls this combat.
So the big idea, why I said all that was to say this. You see, every tree begins with the seed, and then the root, and then the shaft, and then the branches. What we're getting at with all that is the seed is your idea, the root is the mastery. Mm-hmm. Everything must start with the mastery. Your mastery actually does supply you the win condition. There aren't any masteries that don't have a win condition on it. I guess that's debatable when you're talking about like Black Deceptive. But in other words, it will aid you.
I mean, like they kind of do.
Yeah, they give you a focus off the bat that you should. We'll give you an example. Orange Adept Mastery. Why would you run a bunch of energies in this style?
Well, you still could, actually.
You could.
Here's the funny thing.
But you're fighting against your mastery.
No.
Really?
No, you're not. The main point of the Adept Mastery isn't the fact that you get the one stage. The one stage is really nice, though, and it can put up that pressure against other energy decks to where you can stage them out. Or drop your physical opponents down a stage, a whole tier on the power level. The main part of the Adept Mastery is the consistency of being able to grab drills with the first style attack that hits when you have 2 or less. So the first 3 drills I'm going to get 1 per turn as long as I hit.
Well,
and that consistency is what keeps it. Oh, you're going to banish one of my drills? Okay, now it's my next turn. I'm going to, or you did it and it's the first attack of the combat, or okay, I'll play mine. I hit. I'm going to search that drill right back out and put it right back into play. It's things like that. That's the win condition that your adept gets you. Mm-hmm. That's why I considered it better than adaptive, and a lot of people give me flack for that. But it's that consistency of being able to grab your drills so fast and being able to get them out into play, because they don't do you good in the deck. They don't do you any good in there. They don't do you good in the graveyard either. Yeah, I understand that. You got cards that grab them from there now. The point is however, it's an arms race at that point. You're grabbing Dragon Balls from your deck, why can't I just grab... You're grabbing allies from your deck, why can't I grab my drills from my deck? And consistently, too. Because in an orange deck, your main way of winning is by beating down. With the newer mastery, you can now go MP.
Yep.
Because you got that set anger gain. And that kind of works with that too. But you still have the option of when you level, you still get the pluses off of it in the grabbing of the drills.
So what we're getting at is, if it helps when you're building your deck, and you said, you're wondering what is your card choice.
Yeah, what is your card choice? How are you going to go with it? And what does your mastery do for you? That's the most key thing.
If it's necessary, literally have your mastery out, and then put your cards next to your mastery, and then see how they relate to each other. If they're not related to each other, that's a really good red flag. You have to have a really good reason not to have them in their deck if they don't interact.
And they may interact with another card.
Yeah, that's the.
And then you gotta, and then you gotta ask yourself, well, how does that work? With that. So
we said that you have to have focus on your win condition. I'll give you an example. If you have an MPPV focused, you will not have a card in your deck that takes away MPPV.
Yeah.
Obvious.
But sometimes yes, sometimes no.
That's what I mean.
Sometimes you might need to level up. Sometimes you might be behind and you just need to beat them down.
Yes. But of course, you would be managing this and leveraging.
Yeah, and you know when not to do it. Like that's why I'll Dig Your Grave is such a good card. Is because you don't have to level up with it, but you still want to play it because it still prevents them from enduring anything. And it's cards like that. You're saying like, oh, I'm playing an MPV deck. I don't want to play Dig for that reason, and it's just like, that's just such a big mistake.
You can get your opponent off their game, especially if they have a weaker level. This was common with older sets,
and even like that, blue likes to sit at level 2.
It does.
And so you being able to be like, oh, you got all those drills and you got all that, I'll dig you. I don't care if I can't win by angering out. Now I'm disrupting you by leveling you up.
And that could be a very interesting effect with Broly's level 3 power.
Well, yeah, and it could be a very interesting thing with anybody though. Getting the old Piccolo off of level 2 to level 3. That's game changing.
Oh yeah, because at level 3, it wasn't the weakest, but it required the most setup and strategy to make it.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, because you had to have Dragon Balls on the field.
Exactly.
And
if you didn't, well, you're kind of kneecapped. So pressuring them into that awkward position was wonderful. So that's what we're saying, is that, simply put, you start off with your mastery, and that's where you work it. Does it advance you towards the win condition? I'm going to go and give you a bit of personal philosophy, and it's something, take it or leave it, it's up to you. If you ever played Pokemon back in the 90s...
Oh, I did. You're kidding? I got Sun right here in my pocket.
Do you remember the old, when you were looking at the back of the strategy guide, because Nintendo gave one out with it? Do you remember how it had the 5-point thing about attack, defense, special?
Yep, their whole stats.
Yeah, if you were to look at your deck in those kind of stats, you really should have a strong focus in at least one for a win condition.
Okay, you know what? That's actually the best way to describe this. Actually, you think about it, because you have your HP.
Yep.
You have your special, which would be your energies. You have your attack, which would be your physicals. You have your special defense, your attack defense, your regular defense. And then you have your speed, which could maybe be like anger or, like hand gain or something like that.
You remember the graph, of course, had these shapes that would expand out from the center, and then they would expand towards it, giving you like a higher rating in each area.
Yeah, and it'd show you how it stacks out. Another thing that you got to realize too when you're making your deck too, how does your MP act with your mastery, and how does it act with the rest of your cards? That becomes the thing. Like a deck can go from being just okay to being like really broke. Just by changing your mastery, something as simple as that.
I'll give you an example right now. I wish somebody would do it. I'm looking at James. How come nobody's built a Speed Anger Garlic Jr. Retribution? He's better than Roshi. You can speed through this better than anybody else.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
give a darn about what you do.
Yep, and actually, Garlic Jr. is a good example about it. It's a very fast Pokemon. That's all it is. And usually with those kind of people, you either make them really heavy attack or you make them really heavy defense, and you just hope you survive.
That would be how one would do that if you were made of paper.
Well,
like Garlic Jr.
yeah,
is.
garlic is, and that's how you do it. And you probably could do it very easily. I could see it.
So what we're getting at with my analogy about the old Pokemon way of stats, if you looked at your own deck, if you looked at all of your card choices, the way they interact with each other, interact with the mastery, whether they are attack focused, defensive focused, like many blocks, if they're survival focused, all that stuff. If you weighed out your deck, your your win condition, is your win condition a strong or minor? I'll give you an example. I built a Piccolo deck for the regionals, which was a standard Piccolo knowledge deck with a lot of variations because I don't play the junk that people play. I still ran for MPPV, but I had a lot of countermeasures to deal with physical beatdowns.
Because that was the meta.
Yeah, gosh, I was tired of getting tore up. When I built that deck, it really had a monstrous focus in MPPV. Everything else was secondary. It had no beatdown capability, and it had a Dragon Ball victory win condition, real minor. Like if we said, if there's 5 points on this thing, how far it can go out, it was a 5 for MPPV, because that's how it's all fixated on. Dragon Ball victory is like a 2.
That's kind of what Brawly was, and the worst part with Brawly was I didn't have endurance, so I had what little bit of special defense or defense that I had in my blocks, and that's it. So they were probably at like a 3, a piece. Now it's a lot better because you have endurance and stuff like that with the new physical attacks that came out. Otherwise, all of it was an attack, and I just would tear you apart. If I could get in and I could hit.
Oh yes.
So. And that's what I'm saying. Like your master, look at your personality too. Like you would a Pokemon, Vaporeon, HP heavy, tanky. All about rejuvenating your deck. Think of it kind of like a Lord Slug, because Lord Slug's all about rejuvenating and getting those Dragon Balls out until you can hit level 4 and just start pulling them out. Now it's a little more aggro and it's a little more special attacky kind of sort of thing. Which Vaporeon kind of has that minor in that. But how does that relate to your mastery? It's like saying, okay, so I'm not going to take that slug deck and I'm not going to make it speed heavy. I'm not going to make a speed slug because that
What's the
means,
point?
Yeah, it means no point. I can't win that way. I mean, I can by pulling out Dragon Balls then, but I'm going to be lacking in so many other areas that it just doesn't work. So, like figuring out how your MP works too. It's a big thing with that too, because you kind of look like at you kind of look at some of those others like Raditz. Raditz is going to be more leaning towards energy attacks. He's not a big bruiser unless if you turn him into a bruiser by playing something that's like the new Saiyan Mastery that doubles any base stage damage that you have. That would be kind of it.
There we go.
Yeah. Although that's for the whatchamacallit.
What is that?
That's for the contest.
Ew. Well, I'll say we'll just stick with this.
We'll stick. I'll get you a good one.
What we're getting at with good old, we're saying with, like, say Raditz. Raditz stats unfortunately need to be very low defense.
Very low attack.
You're like
because his power stages.
That's what we're talking about. It's like what constitutes a low attack and defense in this game. You're like, is that how this game works? Kind of. Attack is what power stage damage. In other words, when you look at the attack table, does he have big numbers or small numbers, even at high stages?
And here's the thing. You could still play him, and you could still, you can make him a beast in orange, and he can still have an AT of 4 for all your attacks. But the problem with that is, he's going to be receiving attacks, and if he's receiving physical attacks, and he's stuck in A, maybe B, that hurts. F to B is 5, that's half your stages. So, you still have to think and take those sort of things into consideration as well.
So I hope we've, maybe opened your eyes just a little bit about how a theme and focus is vital in building your...
And maybe your deck isn't bad, and maybe the idea isn't bad, and you just need to kind of see what other MPs are out there and see if that fits your theme a little bit better. Because like Nappa, I talked about stage drain. one of Nappa's cards is all about lowering your opponent 4 stages, you know, and then the other one's about, hey, if they level up, they go to 0 stages. So that whole theme of idea of just milling them by making them take stage damage from effects, which then means mills, no endurance, no nothing, you know, that works with that idea. It doesn't work with necessarily some other MPs like
we probably should explain that. You know what that actually sits into? If you ever want to look it up on the internet, it's called Stage Drain Nappa, that deck archetype. Why it was a thing is one that he has lower overall power stages. To my knowledge, Nappa gets out of C.
He does get out of C.
He does? He gets to D?
No, I think he gets to C. I think he just stays to C.
Okay, well, why we bring that up is that physical attacks, you're like, wait, if his base damage is so low, would I build him with physical beats? You could if you wanted to, I guess.
Well, and you can now, especially since, like I said, Panini's been kind of trying to give you tools to get past that. Oh, that new Saiyan equip card that doubles any pure, any stage damage without an AT before it. So it turns your Nappa's Energized Strike from 6 stages to 12 stages.
Why he was built this way, why the stage drain archetype is good for Nappa, is because since his AT is so low, even at full power stages,
and even at his level 2, it's mainly his level 2.
Oh no, I'm saying in the Premier set, like how if you think about Premier, where there are no other sets, you're looking at his competition. Goku gets over 1 million, he hits F. Frieza does the same.
Well,
like, wait.
And the same thing with Raditz too.
Yeah, well the trick.
Well, actually, they were set 2.
Well, we weren't far from.
But no.
Why we bring that up was, if he couldn't stage damage you through attacks, he could get rid of your stages through draining them. He had a backdoor way to deal with it because he wasn't naturally a heavy hitter at that time. Yeah. Things have changed, of course, and you can do what you want now because the card pool's decent. Why we bring that up is, again, about your theme. If you wanted to make Nappa a knockout king, you could do that now.
You would have to do it in Saiyan or Orange for that.
Yes.
You could do it. Or even with ally base, because you could have your allies perform your attacks when you get to 0. You know? And you could set at level 2 and still have that semi-stage drain about when you throw your attacks, them losing one. So, I mean, like, there's different ways about going about it, but you have to know the different play styles and how you want to go about that.